Welcome to this lunchtime broadcast, which highlights the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the news headlines. Chartered accountant Ally Angula announces her presidential bid. Tutaleni Primary School receives Scholar Patrol equipment, and police dodge questions about mysterious killings of 5 suspected robbers. I am Ashwin Berry, and this is NMH at 1. After a 6-month-long delay, the trial against the 5 men accused of killing former Bafana and Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa is expected to resume in the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria today, amid questions over whether Judge Shifiwa Maumela will continue to preside over the matter after the Judicial Service Commission recommended that he should be suspended pending the outcome of a tribunal inquiry. Last week, the JSC advised President Cyril Ramaphosa to suspend Judge Maumela and Judge Nomonde Qibisa Tusi for their failure to deliver numerous reserved judgments. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Chartered accountant Ally Angula has announced her presidential bid for the 2024 general election. Her last job in government was as Deputy Executive Director in the Ministry of Finance. It is not clear whether she will stand as an independent candidate or as a candidate for a specific political party.
Expensive venture for any nation that has fought as long and as hard as we have to be where we are today. The cost of poverty is much higher in Namibia, where more than half the population are poor, thereby putting extreme strain on resources, increasing crime, lowering the quality of lives, and most of all, reducing the size of the domestic market. The promise of a just Namibia, where justice and the rule of law applies to every person without fear or favor. A justice system that gives second chances to the worthy and upholds the dignity of the guilty. The promise of a Namibia that invests in her future, the vibrant, promising, gifted young people who will be the leaders of our tomorrow. These are the promises I believed in with so many others like me who were born and raised in exile. These are the promises that inspired the ones who fought within, making sure we had something we could all build on. Under one roof, one banner, boldly and courageously named Namibia. These are the promises I want to pass on to our children, but not as a conditional possibility, but rather as certain outcome that can be lived in the present and which will only get better every step into the future. It is time to show ourselves that we are the promise manifest today. The potential to fulfill each of these promises lives inside each of us. We just need to be reminded of this power through our infrastructure, education, social services, wealth distribution, and more. I am a living testimony of that truth. Nothing is impossible. From a refugee camp to being a pioneer in my chosen field of study of chartered accountancy, building multiple businesses and raising 3 beautiful children in this home that I was promised. Yet, this trajectory places a heavy burden on me. To fix the broken furniture so every person can be and feel comfortably. Expand the kitchen so everyone can eat, rebuild, replace, repair, so we can all feel re-inspired to make new promises for the ones to come, but not until the old promises are fulfilled for our children. That is why I'm running for the President of the Government of Namibia. I am Ally Angula, and I'm looking for your support as I roll up my sleeves to work and fight for the economic future of Namibia, because it is time to leave the promise. The time is now. Join the conversation on Twitter or watch me as I unfold my plans on YouTube and Facebook. Watch and catch me on Instagram. The handles are Ally Angula 2024. Thank you very much.
Tutaleni Primary School recently received Scholar Patrol equipment from Walvish Bay-based Pelican Scaffolding. The school's principal, Neville Visahi, shares more details. He spoke to Nikano Nangolo.
Good day. My name is Neville Visahi. I am the principal of Tutaleni Primary School in Kusepmund. Recently, on Friday, to be specific, the 21st of April, we received a sponsorship of Scholar Patrol equipment from Mr. Raphael Muhewa. He is in the scaffolding business. The company's name is Pelican Scaffolding. He is a parent of one of the learners at our school. And what he actually told me was that he usually drops his child in the morning, and he saw the need for a Scholar Patrol. We are located in Kusepmund, as I indicated, in Joanna Benson Street. And it's quite a very busy street in terms of traffic, that is now pedestrians and vehicles, and especially the taxis. We have vehicles that are dropping off the kids in the morning, and private vehicles, and then the taxis as well. So he decided to donate this equipment to the school. I also informed the donor that what we will do next is to arrange for training for the LRC of the school as soon as possible, and that we will put the equipment to good use by implementing the Scholar Patrol at the school. Currently, we do not have fixed dates, but the aim is to do it as soon as possible, and once the LRC members are trained, we will implement the Scholar Patrol at the school. What we will also do is to bring the learners basically to the spot where we are going to operate the Scholar Patrol, just here outside the main gate of the school. There's a pedestrian crossing that we will utilize for the Scholar Patrol, so that we can also train, especially the little ones, because our school runs from we have grade 0 up to grade 7, and especially for the little ones, they need to be taught how to cross and when to cross the road, and what the role of the Scholar Patrol will be. So in that same vein, let me also then extend my thank you to the sponsor of the Scholar Patrol equipment, Mr. Raphael Muhewa of Pelican Scaffolding, for taking the initiative as a parent and to donate the equipment to the school. Thank you.
Police at both Oshrodonjupa regional level and the national headquarters in Windhoek are apparently ducking questions about the mysterious killings of 5 suspected robbers. Namibian Sun has the full story after the break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. Jou is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Heading into our newspaper review, according to the Namibian Sun, police at both Oshodonjupa regional level and the national headquarters in Windhoek are ducking questions about the mysterious killings of 5 suspected robbers at Okahanja exactly a week ago, with Namibian Sun sent from pillar to post during the just-ended long weekend. Police intelligence sources said the men had a criminal history and were already on the police radar for previous cases, hence the ease with which they were tracked down. One of those killed, Manias Ipinge, was sentenced to 15 years in prison in 2018 for robbing Rocha's Hotel in Oshakati in 2007, but successfully appealed his conviction and sentence a year later. On its page 3, the paper informs that in what has been termed a tribal and politically motivated move, the Gobabis municipality's decision to suspend 7 executives on alleged bogus charges has been set aside in the High Court. The executives, who were suspended with full pay between May and November 2021, scored a huge win last week after the court ruled that their suspensions were unlawful. They are finance and corporate executives Philemon Makili and Frida Shimakeleni, IT officer Konjeni Ngiwanapo, IT technician Paul Kayambu, acting corporate services and human resources practitioner Ashipala Kayambu, electrical services manager Johannes Nantua, and former acting strategic executive of human resources and corporate services Wainona Steiner. The respondents in the matter were the Gobabis Council and its chairperson, the chairperson of the management committee, the acting CEO Steve Adonis, as well as urban and rural development minister Erastus Utoni. More than 18,000 budding cattle producers in the northern communal areas need immediate access to markets to prevent a catastrophe. A survey in February among potential commercially oriented meat producers in the communal area identifies a lack of official marketing opportunities or abattoirs as their biggest obstacle. So says the newly founded civil rights organization Axi Forum Namibia, and this is reported on Republicane's front page. On page 3, the paper reports that a 25-year-old murder suspect who allegedly beat his mother to death with a hoe in the town of Ekudi last Sunday apparently went to 4 neighboring houses after the crime and informed his neighbors about what he had done. The accused, Jacob Sikerete Sadwere, apparently asked them to call the police so they could arrest him. He appeared in the Rundu Magistrates Court on Tuesday last week after he was arrested for the alleged murder of his mother, Anastasia Shongano Likua. Sadwere appeared before acting magistrate George Matswib, who adjourned the case until July the 3rd to allow the accused to obtain legal representation. On its front page, the Allgemeine Zeitung leads with an article about the 3-day 2023 Tourism Expo, which concluded last Friday at the Windhoek Country Club and Resort. The expo this year successfully hosted seminars focused on youth in tourism and a host of other topics related to growth and opportunities in tourism. While each seminar had its unique appeal, the opportunities related to sports events stood out, which seem to have been neglected by Namibia and by the tourism sector as a revenue generator so far. Page 2 of the Allgemeine Zeitung informs about the 3rd and final part of a 3-part series about green hydrogen in Namibia, contributed by the Berchten Course of Earthlife Namibia. Parts 1 and 2, which appeared on page 2 of the Thursday and Friday editions of Allgemeine Zeitung last week, already now combined with the final 3rd part, give readers a complete picture of what hydrogen is, how it has affected Namibia so far, and how it is likely to impact Namibia in the future. The aim of the article is to allow the readership to find out more about the risks as well as the opportunities that arise from this development in Namibia. After the break, we continue with the Namibian newspaper.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 115.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
The Namibian newspaper's lead story highlights that according to the World Health Organization and UNICEF's Joint Monitoring Program 2020 data, Namibia ranks 6th for the highest rates of open defecation in the world at 47%. Less than half of the country's 2.5 million citizens use facilities that safely separate waste from human contact, while some 5% use inadequate facilities such as open pits, buckets and hanging latrines. The paper further tells the personal story of Natalia Shanika, who resides in Swakopmund's Democratic Resettlement Community, one of Namibia's largest informal settlements, where some of the 20,000 residents live without running water or sewerage systems of their own. Together with our parents, we relive ourselves in the dump behind our home. When I'm on my period, it's the same place I go to the toilet and where I throw used pads, she added. The Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism has sent about 132.4 million Namibian dollars on upgrading infrastructure in the Dorop and Skeleton Coast National Parks. The finance was provided with the assistance of the German government through the KfW Development Bank. The financial investment saw the inauguration of park infrastructure and equipment in the Dorop and Skeleton Coast National Parks. This is reported on the paper's page 3. Moving on to New Era, Namibian labor conditions still have a long way to go, as not all workers are enjoying good employment relations, health and safety at their workplaces, constructive social dialogue, and the decent employment they deserve. These were the key messages that were highlighted during the Workers' Day commemoration held in Swakopmund by the National Union of Namibian Workers and affiliated unions. The day was observed both in Swakopmund and Walvis Bay by reflecting on the challenges facing Namibian workers, as well as the changing political and economic landscapes that are impacting the workers. Now on New Era's page 3, it is reported that Fisheries and Marine Resources Minister Derek Claassen said it is only when stakeholders work together through public-private partnerships that they make great progress in their dealings for the common good of society. He reasoned as such when delivering the keynote address at the 16th edition of the Luderitz Crayfish Festival in the harbour town last weekend. The proposed regulation of banking fees and charges could deter investment, analyst Simone Storm-Say. Member of Parliament Veiko Nekundi submitted a motion to discuss the possibility of investigating overcharges and unethical multiple charges by local commercial banks, resulting in over-profiting. According to Simone Storm, the motion can be seen as a positive step towards promoting fairness and transparency in the banking industry, and this is in the Market Watch. BP made a profit of $5 billion in the first quarter of 2023, up from the previous 3 months on the back of strong oil and gas trading. More details coming up in economic news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
BP made a profit of $5 billion in the first quarter of 2023, up from the previous 3 months on the back of strong oil and gas trading, but the company's shares fell as it slowed a share buyback program. BP's results, which beat forecasts, follow a strong showing from the rivals, including ExxonMobil and Chevron last week, as oil majors continue to benefit from energy prices that remain strong despite some softening since the start of the year. BP's shares, however, had fallen around 4.5% by 0.735 GMT, compared with a drop of around 1.2% for an index of European oil companies, after it said it would repurchase $1.75 billion worth of shares over the next 3 months, down from $2.75 billion in the previous 3. First quarter underlying replacement cost profit, the company's definition of net income, reached $4.96 billion, up from $4.8 billion in the fourth quarter of 2022, and above expectations of $4.3 billion in a company-provided survey of analysts. Let's have a look at the economic indicators. The euro remains valued at 20 Namibian dollars and 20 cents, while £1 will now cost 22 Namibian dollars and 94 cents. No movement is observed on the Namibia Stock Exchange, with stock prices remaining unchanged. Local index closed 0.1% lower, while the overall index shows a slight increase as stock prices remain unchanged on the NSX. Copper and zinc prices show an increase, while other commodities have dropped in price. Forensic experts yesterday began autopsies of more than 100 corpses found in mass graves linked to a Kenyan pastor accused of inciting his followers to starve to death. The full story coming up after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite.
Heading into African news, forensic experts on Monday began autopsies of more than 100 corpses found in mass graves linked to a Kenyan pastor accused of inciting his followers to starve to death. Officially, the process of post-mortem of the body starts immediately. Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki told reporters outside a hospital morgue in the coastal town of Malindi. "We are here to witness a very critical stage," he said. That process is expected to take roughly a week, all going well. Investigators will also take DNA samples to help identification, though the full results may take months. The chief government pathologist Johansen Odor said mass graves in the nearby Shakahola forest have revealed scores of dead, most of them children, but the death toll of 109, which includes a small number of people who were found alive but died on their way to hospital, is still provisional. Kindiki said the process of exhumation was temporarily stopped because the experts advised that when it is raining, the process cannot continue. Paul Mackenzie Ntenge, the former taxi driver who created a Christian-based cult called the Good News International Church, is accused of telling followers that starvation offered a path to God. Authorities in Ethiopia say they have detained 47 people, including journalists, activists and campaigners, for executing a terrorist act and attempting to overthrow the government in the northern regional state of Amhara. The arrests come days after a senior official of Ethiopia's ruling Prosperity Party and his bodyguards were shot dead there. The alleged culprits, who were identified by Ethiopian security and intelligence agents, had already been jailed before the killings. In a statement on Sunday, Ethiopia's Federal Joint Task Force disclosed the name of 11 more wanted suspects, including prominent politicians and journalists who are based inside and outside the country. The federal government said it had to take decisive measures against extremist forces in the region, triggering fears that it could lead to yet another round of violence. The killing of the Prosperity Party official came weeks after the federal government announced the dissolution of a paramilitary force, which had prompted widespread protests and violence in the Amhara region. We'll be heading into international news, starting with the United States shortly. The United States will end its COVID-19 vaccination requirements for international travelers and federal workers on May 11 when the coronavirus public health emergency ends, the White House said on Monday. In February, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to lift the requirement that most foreign air travelers be vaccinated against COVID-19, one of the few remaining pandemic travel restrictions still in place. The Biden administration last June dropped its requirement that people arriving in the U.S. by air must test negative for COVID, but kept in place Centers for Disease Control and Prevention vaccination requirements for most foreign travelers. The rules barred Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic from taking part in some U.S. tournaments because he is not vaccinated against COVID-19. But from May 12th, he could freely enter and play in major American tournaments like the U.S. Open. The Homeland Security Department also said on Monday, starting May 12th, it will no longer require non-U.S. travelers entering the United States via land ports of entry and ferries to be vaccinated against COVID-19 and provide proof of vaccination upon request. The Biden administration's rules imposed on September 2021, requiring about 3.5 million federal employees and contractors to be vaccinated or face firing or disciplinary action, have not been enforced for over a year after a series of court rulings. Now, Namibian athletes gave a good account of themselves at the just-ended FNB Botswana Golden Grand Prix. We'll be looking at that as we head into local sports shortly. Namibian athletes gave a good account of themselves at the just-ended FNB Botswana Golden Grand Prix, where both the country's able-bodied and para-athletes finished with respective times. In the para-athletes category, Johannes Nambala again demonstrated why he remains one of the world's top para-athletes when he won the men's 400 meters in a remarkable time of 49.71 seconds, while compatriot Ananias Shikongo also triumphed in his heat 2, winning the race with a time of 51.97. Coach Fortune Ahab is over the moon after steering the Namibian police football team to its first ever league promotion. Khomas Nampo FC won the first division with 53 points and games to spare. The entire team is in dreamland right now because of the accomplishment. Everyone in the camp is proud of how far they have come. Namibia's veteran fighter Zakaria Desert Stone Lucas on Friday delivered a scintillating performance to secure a career-redeeming win over Zimbabwe's Isapiri at the Fairgrounds Holding Center in Gaborone. The 38-year-old Lucas, who late last year suffered a high-profile defeat against American boxer Raymond Ford, got back to winning ways after he outpointed a stubborn Piri over 6 rounds of their thrilling international lightweight fight. Stay with us as we swing over to international sport.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Top. Wie jou dit is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic will be able to compete at the US Open this year after the US government said on Monday it will end its COVID-19 vaccination requirements for international travelers on May 11. Djokovic, one of the most high-profile athletes unvaccinated against COVID-19, missed the US Open in 2022 due to his vaccine status. The 35-year-old Serb was unable to enter the country this year after unsuccessfully applying to the US government for special permission to play at Indian Wells and Miami. Djokovic missed last year's Australian Open and was deported from the country due to his vaccine status and has said he would skip Grand Slams rather than have a COVID shot. Djokovic has won 3 of his 22 major titles at the US Open. The hard-court Grand Slam will be held from August to 28 September this year. Orlando Pirates reclaimed the second place in the DStv Premiership after they secured a hard-fought 2-1 victory over TS Galaxy at the Mbombela Stadium on Sunday afternoon. Jose Riviero's side hit the front after just 2 minutes when Terence Kamanja glanced a header home from a corner, but they were pegged back shortly before halftime with an equalizer from Given Simango. If you're just joining us, we'll be heading into the highlights from this broadcast after the break. Let's continue with the highlights. Forensic experts on Monday began autopsies of more than 100 corpses found in mass graves linked to Kenyan pastor accused of inciting his followers to starve to death. The United States will end its COVID-19 vaccination requirements for international travelers and federal workers on May 11 when the coronavirus public health emergency ends in that country. And Namibian athletes gave a good account of themselves at the just-ended FNB Botswana Golden Grand Prix, where in the para-athletes category, Johannes Nambala again won the men's 400 meters in a remarkable time, while compatriot Ananias Shikongo triumphed in heat 2. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, ranging from current affairs to economic news, sports and international headlines. It's goodbye from us in studio.